What's going on, guys? Pixelated here, back at it again with another review. Today we're looking at one of the more unique and unexpected collabs from Adidas with a popular but unlikely artist from New York. Amidst all these Boost shoes, Adidas finally decided to have a big name collab on a shoe that not only isn't a Boost shoe but is a classic past Adidas shoe, reinvigorated with new materials and a thoughtful concept. It's the Adidas x Daniel Arsham New York. The sneaker released on July 22nd, 2017. Yes, the sneaker is released much earlier this year. I wasn't able to get my hands on it until last month because I live in Canada. I bought it from a US store to a US address, so I had to wait till I was able to drive down and get it. We have it here now though, so let's get into it. This sneaker is a collaboration between Adidas and famed New York City contemporary artist Daniel Arsham. As I mentioned earlier, if you haven't seen it yet, I did an unboxing of these along with a bunch of other sneakers in a previous video. Definitely check it out. I'll link it on a card right now, probably the coolest unboxing experience. So I was able to get my pair off Kit's website. These did release on adidas.ca and I'm sure it would have been an easy cop off there, but the description on the adidas.ca site stated that these didn't come with a UV light from there, so which we'll get into that later. So I decided to go to extreme lengths, which is what we over here in Canada have to do sometimes to cop these sneakers. I ended up purchasing them off the Kith website. The sneaker restocked on there on the day of release, and so I ended up purchasing from them when they did. Fortunately, I waited because initially I was going to buy a true to size 10 in these, but in between the time of the original Kith drop to when they restocked, I asked a few people about sizing and was given the recommendation to go half a size down in New York. Thank God I did. These definitely fit half a size down, and honestly there's enough room to the point I feel like I might have been able to go a full size down. I have to tie these pretty tight to get a proper fit on my feet, and the opening just feels hella loose. So maybe going full size down might have been the right thing to do. At the same time, I feel like it might be too small if I go another half size down, aka a full size down. This is probably my only issue with the shoe, is that the sizing is a little bit ambiguous. Either way, I'm a size 10 true to size, and went half a size down in these. Just to be safe, I'd recommend only going half a size down and not a full size down, since I don't want anybody to be getting shoes that are too small for them. There are always solutions for shoes that are a tad too big, like thicker insoles or double insoles for example. No solutions for shoes that are just too small. Although I did add an extra insole in them after and tried them on and they fit perfectly, so half a size down with double insoles, which also makes them more comfortable in addition, since my feet aren't sliding around in them. So if you're comfortable enough in my assessment, definitely go a full size down. I have wide feet and the half down still feels a tad roomy. The only issue was that because it's double insoled, you don't get the same kind of heel or ankle support since your ankle is raised slightly higher than it should be and that the heel counter wants it to be. It causes this slight lack of grip feeling from the back of the shoe. Be warned, if you do the double insole thing, you will feel that ankle half in, half out feeling while walking. It's not an intrusive feeling though, and you'll get used to it in a few minutes or so. Moving on to the collaborating artist on the shoe, Daniel Arsham is a New York City artist. He's famously known for his crystallized sculptures that have this deteriorating, falling apart look to them, casting them with volcanic ash. This gives them this unique look as if they were fossilized from our current time to some point in the future. He refers to each one made as future relics. It makes sense if you think about it. Discovering something that right now is current but in the future will or can potentially be non-existent. If you come across a fossil of it, this is what it would look like. That's pretty much what Daniel Arsham does. He took to this concept and with his fascination with archaeology and artifacts pretty much reimagined the Adidas New York with Adidas in the same fashion. Not to say he redesigned the shoe, the primary silhouette is still intact, he just put his own twist to it. You can see this in every aspect of the shoe. The entire thing is this light bone color, sort of like the bones or skeleton of a fossil or of an old or extinct animal. We then have these raw, unfinished looking edges around the tongue, the three stripes running across the medial and lateral side of the shoe, the toe cap and the eyelets. We then have other details on the sneaker like Daniel Arsham's name on the tongue of the sneaker and Adidas branding on the other tongue. We then have some branding and this 1-800 number on the heel counter, which we'll get into later. We have leather lining along the inside of the heel portion of the shoe. The shoe dons these also light bone colored thin flat laces capped with metal lace tips. I do wish they were wider, but they probably wouldn't fit through the eyelets if they were. And the regular Adidas New York non-boost EVA midsole with a waffle design running across it, as well as a somewhat treaded or raised outsole with a similar pattern running across it. And finally an ortholite insole, which is probably the only thing that adds any sort of comfort to this shoe. The entire upper is made of this canvas material. I guess it could be somewhat of an ode to the past, as canvas used to be very popular material in the past that made kind of a comeback on backpacks a few years ago. Herschel backpacks are a huge byproduct of that, and by a few I mean like 5 years ago. The sneaker also came in this super special box that can technically only be opened once. I linked it earlier earlier, but I'll link my unboxing of these right now again in case you missed it. Definitely worth checking out. It also comes with a nice soft dust bag because obviously with a shoe that's entirely one off-white tone, you're going to get them dirty pretty damn easily. The marketing for this shoe was very robust. I thought it was super unique and well thought out. Now, the theme behind the sneaker was the fragility of time, a subject Daniel Arsham tackles with this collab. So there are a lot of neat details that are at play in this shoe and the marketing campaign related to that. The whole thing started with Adidas promoting this 1-800 number across many of their platforms. I pretty much saw it everywhere before they even released the shoe or debuted it. It's the same number you see on the heel counter of the shoe. There was a photo booth installation in New York, I believe in or near Kith, I could be wrong, where you picked up the phone and heard Daniel leaving a message to his mom or something. Obviously, the phone booth is another ode to the time concept that goes along with the sneaker. He even released a short film about time that complements the theme of the sneaker. The most intriguing detail of the shoe, however, is something that isn't seen 99.9% of the time. Seriously, unless you're really obsessive and have nothing better to do while wearing them and want to show this feature off, most people that see you wear the shoe will have no idea about it. I know I'm being vague, but hear me out. Remember I was talking about a UV light earlier? Well, the coolest part about this shoe is when you shine the UV light on the midsole and it reveals a hidden message that says, "The past is the present," wrapped around the midsole. Again, this is an ode to the time capsule theme of the sneaker. I think this is extremely unique. It hasn't been done on a sneaker before, and I commend Arsham and Adidas for truly being creatives when it comes to a sneaker collaboration. The 3 stripes also have UV sensitive stitching to brighten up when you shine the UV light on them. It does seem somewhat gimmicky though, kind of like glow in the dark soles, or when any portion of a shoe is glow in the dark. Makes you wonder why on earth would you consider buying a shoe with gimmicky features that only work 1% of the time, or 0.01% if we're being accurate to my previous statistics. And truthfully, at the $180 retail price point that these retailed for, it does seem like kind of a rip, but at the same time, the concept behind the shoe is unique enough for me to warrant the purchase. I'm honestly just out here trying to figure out how much they spent on the marketing campaign for these. As for comfort, I'll say this right now, don't expect too much from this sneaker, and I'll tell you why. First and foremost, if you're not familiar with this silhouette or you haven't guessed it yet, these do not have boost technology in them. No, Adidas didn't redesign this classic silhouette and add boost to it. Matter of fact, they made no tech changes at all. Contrary to popular opinion, I actually highly favor the fact that they left the silhouette unchanged. I think adding boost to it would change the shape of the original design and lose the integrity the classic had to begin with. While that means that they're less comfortable than boost shoes, this is an okay change of pace for me, as I don't always want to be wearing boost. Aside from it potentially, and I stress potentially, I'm not a kinesiology major, not being the best thing for your natural development, it also makes you feel kind of spoiled when you're wearing them 24/7. You kind of start taking other shoes for granted and forget what got you here in the first place. Actually, that's not true. For a lot of you, boost is what got you here, so anyways, I wouldn't say these are the least comfortable sneakers by any means. They're actually extremely light, which works in their favor. The canvas mesh upper is really light and comfortable as well. I have no complaints there. Just keep in mind they're not prime knit, so it's 1, not going to stretch, 2, doesn't have the same soft cloth-like feel as pure threads do. I do like the fact that I'm wearing an Adidas shoe where my toes aren't outlined by the prime knit. Shout out to all the NMDs and Ultra Boosts out there. Just kidding. Another thing I really like about this shoe is the raised outsole. Oftentimes with silhouettes like Ultra Boosts and NMDs, which I'm sure are the only Adidas shoes some people buy, sure they have a rubber outsole and Continental for Ultra Boost, but they're very flat, and yes, they're grippy, but when it comes to wet surfaces that are tilted in one way or another, or even on something like turf, that outsole isn't going to help you. Not that you're going to be encountering turf commonly, and especially snow or ice, you're not safe. With an Adidas New York outsole, you have more of a sinking grip on things like that, although personally, I don't think you should be wearing either of the previously mentioned shoes in cold weather. However, there are times where it could happen. I styled them pretty simply. I have on my Gap X John Elliott dual flash zip-up hoodie in cream and the cream tee from the same collab. The double layer is part of the design. It's not 2 tees that I layered on each other. I have gray 3/4 length tech pants from Uniqlo, cream colored socks with some Aztec-y designs. Don't ask me the brand, I don't remember. The great thing about these sneakers is that they're still in stock on a few websites. I'll try to link one down below or on the screen if I come across one that you can still get most sizes from, but that is something you don't get to see too often with hype collabs nowadays. It's so refreshing to be able to cop a unique collab comfortably and not having to rush or stress trying to beat the bots or whatever. I don't think there's much resale on them either, so you should be good on that front. And truly, as much as I love Boost shoes like the Ultra Boost and some NMDs, you do get tired of looking at a bajillion versions of the same sneaker sometimes. For my OG subs who remember, I even put in the hype beast lacing segment. I highly recommend getting these in your collection for variety's sake. Great casual shoes with a minimal but eye-catching aesthetic. just make sure to get the right size. Overall, great sneaker, very versatile. I'm really happy to have them in my collection. If you took anything from this video, please hit that like button. Do you guys think this was a great collab or was it overrated? Let me know below, and please hit that sub for more juicy content. Catch you later. Pixelated, out.